Cell Chemistry, Section 3. We have been studying the core 4 macromolecules, and today we're going to start with a review before we move on to something a little bit new. Biomolecules or living molecules, just another term for macromolecule or organic molecule or biochemicals, such as carbohydrates, which have the monomer, that's the building block, the small chemical that repeats over and over and over to make up the big chemical. So what is the monomer for carbohydrates? It is the monosaccharide. What is an example of carbohydrates? We looked at examples last time. Let's look through our list and we find several examples here. Remember that OSE trick? You see glucose, cellulose, ending in OSE. We also see starch and glycogen, which do not. You just have to remember those, both helping with that energy storage, starch for plants, glycogen for animals. So that takes care of one of our core 4. What about the next one? Biomolecules such as blank. For example, steroid. Well, we looked at a steroid example yesterday, and we discovered that steroids are examples of lipids. Now let's think about lipids and how they are built. They're a little bit different from these other 3 because they're not a chain. Instead, they have a backbone of glycerol and chains of fatty acids. Now we have 2 of our 4. What's next? We have a biomolecule with the monomer amino acids. So if the monomer is amino acids and you have dozens or hundreds linked together by peptide bonds, what macromolecule have you made? You've made a protein. And what was the specific example of a protein? Well, here are 2 that we looked at yesterday. Insulin, which helps regulate glucose, blood sugar, and hemoglobin, which transports oxygen. And then we have the last of the core 4. Is it nucleic acid or is it nucleotide? One way I keep these straight is I think of TI in tide for tiny. These are the tiny parts. Nucleic acids are the big acids. The monomer is the nucleotide, and an example was DNA. That Na gives it away because it stands for nucleic acid. So that's a review of where we've been. But today we're going to zoom in a little bit more, specifically on a group of proteins that are so important that they deserve their own day. And that group of proteins, incredibly important to all cells and all living things, are enzymes. Enzymes are special proteins that speed up chemical reactions. Now you might think to yourself, why do you need to speed up chemical reactions? Why can't they just take their time? Why is everyone in such a hurry? But the thing is, we need chemical reactions to happen efficiently. We need them to do the work they're supposed to do. And at our body temperature, which might seem hot to you, but is actually pretty mild, they would not happen quickly enough for us to keep on living. So yay for enzymes, which help them happen quickly enough to keep us alive. There are 2 basic kinds of chemical reactions. There are chemical reactions that make new things, and there are chemical reactions that break things. Digestion is breaking something down. Synthesis is to build something new. When you look at a chemical reaction, they usually look like this, which might look a little fancy, but it's pretty straightforward. The things on the left of the arrow is the middle, it's where the work is happening. These are the things you start with. They're called reactants or substrates. Just 2 words, same thing. It's the starting stuff. If you were to make a cake, these would be your ingredients. The big number tells us how many of each ingredient or reactant we're going to need. Then the arrow tells us these things are going to be put together, think dumping ingredients in a bowl, and they are going to be used to make something new. That new thing is called the product or products if there are more than one. And again, That big number tells us how many get made. So this is a reaction. The work is happening here. Now think about the example I'm using of making a cake. You can dump all the ingredients in a bowl and mix it with a fork, and it will get mixed. However, if you've got a bunch of hungry people standing around waiting for that cake, or you need to get it done just in time to sit down and watch your favorite TV show, what are you going to do? How are you going to speed up the process? You might decide to use something like an electric blender. That is kind of what an enzyme does. It speeds up what would have happened. It makes it faster. How does it do that? Well, much like to use an electric blender, it has to actually touch the ingredients. Enzymes also have to actually physically touch the reactants or substrates. And they have special shaped notches in the chemical, and that special shape is just right for one specific substrate group. This enzyme will only work with this kind of substrate. Just like you might not want to use an electric blender to mix something like, I don't know, a song, because a blender can't mix a song. It won't work. The shape wouldn't be right for what you wanted it to do. So the enzyme has to be the right shape to fit with the ingredients, the substrates, the reactants it's going to work with. But once they fit together, that enzyme will speed up the reaction that was going to happen anyway by lowering the activation energy. That's just a really fancy way of saying it's going to make this reaction easier. And if something can happen easier, it will tend to happen faster. So lowering the activation energy means that the reaction doesn't have to put as much work into making things happen. The enzyme has taken on some of the work, and so the reaction can happen faster. In this case, the reactants are changed into the substrates, and then the enzyme's done. Its job is done. And the product or products can release from the enzyme, which is ready to do its job all over again with the next substrate that comes its way and fits its shape. So what actually changes? Is it the enzyme that changes, or is it the substrate or substrates that change? The answer is the substrates change. They are the ingredients, the reactants that are going to change into a product. The enzyme is just a chemical tool, like the blender, which doesn't break down and never work again. Once it blends a single batch for a cake, it can be used again and again. So how do you spot an enzyme? Because it's a chemical, you can't really see it. So you're going to be hearing about it or reading about it on a test or a project or a work sample. How do you know what you're looking at is an enzyme? If you're working in a lab and a chemical is behaving a certain way, how do you know it's an enzyme? Here are some pro tips to spotting an enzyme. First, is it a protein? Because most enzymes are. There are a few exceptions. I'm not going to get into them now, but if you take AP Biology, you'll find out all about it. Why do proteins make up most of our enzymes? It's because proteins are the best at having a very specific and easy to vary three-dimensional shape. So they can become shaped in such a way that they will work with the chemicals they're helping to react. Next question. Ask yourself, does this chemical speed up a reaction? If it does, it might be an enzyme, because enzymes are catalysts. Catalysts are things that speed other stuff up, like the blender and mixing the cake. Enzymes don't speed up cake, necessarily. They speed up chemical reactions in the cell or body. How do they do that? They lower the activation energy, meaning the reaction doesn't have to do as much work to get started because the enzyme has taken over some of that work. And if you're reading about chemicals and it has a name, look for the ASE ending. Remember, OSE tells us it's a sugar. ASE, on the other hand, tells us it's an enzyme. And to make things even simpler, enzymes tend to be named after the reactants they work with. So all you have to really do is take the substrate or reactant name and pop an ASE on the end. That's probably the enzyme's name. Here we have a lovely graph showing you two reactions. One has to climb this big old hill before it can get started. That's a lot of work to do. It doesn't have an enzyme to help it, so it takes it a little bit longer to get started. But this blue line, it shows how an enzyme changes things. An enzyme takes on some of the work, even though it's not part of the reaction itself. So the reaction doesn't have to climb as big a hill. It doesn't have to do as much work to get started. Instead, it can get started quicker, so the reaction happens faster. How is the line with an enzyme, the light blue, different? It has a lower activation energy. That's that big hill that we saw. And that's why it can happen faster. Now let's look at some specific enzymes. We have a lactase, which works with, wouldn't you know it, lactose. That's the substrate. See how similar these words are? But the enzyme ends with ASE. We have protease, which works with proteins. Again, look at the ending, ASE. The first part of the word, the name, came from its substrate. So what might I call an enzyme that works with lipids? Well, I'm going to take the substrate name, I'm going to drop its ending and add an ASE. And now I have my enzyme name. We're going to keep looking at enzymes in the next section, but for now, I want you to think on these things. Have a great day.